Hi everyone, my name is Audrey Green and I'm a VCU dietetic intern and I'm happy and have the honor of leading this webinar on fruits and nuts, and it is part of the Lipids and Your Lifestyle webinar series. So let's get started. So for the agenda today, we're going to talk all about fruit, all about nuts, a summary of what we've learned, some shopping tips, and some recipes. And so fruits and nuts, they're a component of the Mediterranean diet, and you might think, why are they paired together? Well, for my research, nuts are technically a fruit, so that's my reasoning that they're paired together. And the recommendation is to have 2 to 4 servings of fruits and nuts per day. So that could be 1 ounce of nuts, which is about a fourth a cup, plus 1 small whole fruit, plus 1 cup of berries and a half a banana. That would be a total of 4 of the combination. But we're going to go more in depth about the servings in the later slides. And so some meal tips: how can we incorporate more fruits and nuts into our lifestyle? We could add nuts to favorites such as oatmeal and salads or even yogurts. We could swap out a salty snack like chips for some unsalted or lightly salted handful of nuts. Or if you have a sweet tooth like I do, just trying to eat a piece of fruit. It's nature's candy and very sweet, and there are ways that you can make it even more sweeter. So like a fruit salad recipe, it's got like at least 3 different fruits, and then it has a honey and lime dressing. That's really great. And also, if you wanted to add fruit to yogurt and make a parfait as a dessert. And so going more in depth with fruits, they're defined by Merriam-Webster as the usually edible reproductive body of a seed plant, especially one having a sweet pulp. And so from that definition, technically, tomatoes, avocados, even more vegetables that we think of are technically fruits, but they're not sweet, and we think of them more as vegetables, and they have similar nutrient compositions as vegetables. But someone might say tomatoes a fruit, and technically it is, but we think of more those as more vegetables. So just a side note, but fruits contain many antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, fiber. Some fruits are a great source of potassium, and consuming more of those can help lower your blood pressure. As well, fruits are naturally low in sodium, so that's great too. If you have hypertension, high blood pressure, reducing our sodium intake, even just the general population, it's great to keep our sodium in check. And so antioxidants, what are they? They're natural substances found in various fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. And antioxidants have many benefits to our health, and we will explore those in this webinar. And so more about fruits. Polyphenols, they're a phytonutrient, and they're the most abundant antioxidant found in fruits. And there, as you can see from this graph or depiction, there's different classes and subclasses. But we're just going to focus on these two, so flavonoids and non-flavonoids. Quercetin is a flavonoid. It's found in apples, berries, citrus fruits, red wine. And anthocyanin is found in blueberries, strawberries, cherries, plums, grapes, and red oranges. Non-flavonoids, so resveratrol is found in red wine. Gallic acid and ellagic acid tannins are found in pomegranates, persimmons, walnuts, and hazelnuts. And there are a plethora more of different antioxidants found in fruits and other foods, but these were just a few. So there's a famous study called the Predimed study, which I will give you more detail when we get to the nut section. But a reanalysis of this famous study found that high polyphenol intake showed a reduced risk of overall mortality compared to those with lower intakes. And similarly, another meta-analysis published in 2017 found that fruit intake was associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and all-cause mortality. And that meta-analysis, it contained 95 studies from all over the world, with 44 studies being from Europe, 26 from the United States, 20 from Asia, and 5 from Australia. And I love this depiction. It's showing that, if we increase our fruit intake, we're increasing our polyphenols, our antioxidant intake, which can decrease our risk for cardiovascular disease, cancer, and overall mortality or death, which is huge, a huge and great finding. So overall, just increasing our fruit intake. And fruit's antioxidant properties, they prevent reactive oxygen species from forming, which aid in cancer prevention. And in the 7-country study, which you learned about in the last couple lectures or webinars that helped develop the Mediterranean diet, found that vitamin C intake was inversely associated with 25-year mortality from stomach cancer or death from stomach cancer. And vitamin C is found in citrus fruits, tomatoes, kiwi, strawberries. And so the more vitamin C intake these participants consumed, the decreased risk they had of dying from stomach cancer. And yes, this is a very specific finding, but just showing that fruits have protective factors and are good for us. And another study, it found that every additional 10 grams of dietary fiber per day lowers coronary heart disease mortality risk by 17% and all-cause mortality by 9%. And that was huge. We're going to go into the next slide about what 10 grams looks like. But this study, they didn't find a clear association between what type of source of the fiber. So fiber, it's found in whole grains, legumes, nuts, of course, fruits, vegetables as well. So this finding isn't specific to fruit, but just encouraging all of us to consume more fiber-rich foods, and fruit is one of those. And so fiber can reduce our LDL cholesterol, which we want to reduce. It can keep our bowel movements regular and can help maintain steady blood sugar levels and also promote satiety or fullness. So fiber has many benefits. So what does 10 grams of fiber look like? How can we get additional 10 grams in per day? So just 1 heaping cup of raspberries, so it's kind of overflowing a little bit, but that'll get you 10 grams. 1 heaping cup of blackberries, 2 medium pears, 2 medium apples. So these are just giving you a kind of a visual of what that would look like. But you can get your fiber elsewhere, but we're just focusing in on fruits for this section. So I wanted to touch on seasonality, and you all will have access to this handout, and there's many different handouts you can Google and look up. But this one is very handy. It has what produce, so fruits and vegetables, are in season during spring, summer, fall, and winter. And fruits tend to be cheaper and tastier when they are in season. And I know it can get a little tricky because at the grocery store, it seems like they always have the same fruits and vegetables all year round, but they do have seasons. And fun fact, seafood has seasons too. And so purchasing locally when possible, so like at a farmer's market, helps support local farmers, and the fruits tend to be fresher. And, just imagining getting vegetables and fruits from farmers here in Richmond, Virginia, for example, or just in Virginia, compared to those that produce traveling from California, for example. That might be on a truck for days, and it increases carbon footing too, which isn't the best for our environment, but just purchasing locally when possible would be great. And so canned and frozen fruits are processed at peak ripeness and can last a long time. They're very shelf stable, and they tend to be a little cheaper sometimes than fresh produce when they're not in season. So these are best to purchase canned and frozen fruits when those fruits that you want are out of season. So just a couple of notes about seasonality and the importance of that. So serving sizes, just going a little bit more in depth. So 1 serving of whole fruit is a 4-ounce small apple, or about the size of a baseball, a small banana, and there's different sizes, and same with apples, so just being aware of that. If you get a really large apple, that could be possibly 2 servings, or if you get a medium or large banana, that could be 2 servings. About 12 grapes, 1 cup of melon. So I didn't picture melon up here, but that could be 1 cup of watermelon, cantaloupe, 8 large strawberries, or about a cup of whole strawberries, a half of a large grapefruit, and a small orange. So these are just a few serving sizes of whole fruits. Dried fruit is only 2 tablespoons. So dried fruit, thinking raisins, prunes, cranberries. This little Sun-Maid little package of raisins is about 2 tablespoons. Or if you wanted to measure it out, or it looks about the size of a golf ball, so not much. And juices, one serving is 4 ounces, and these are just a few depictions of 4 ounces. And looking at the different sizes, 4 ounces is pretty small, and we're about to go more into juices, more detail, but we really want to try to get more whole fruit over dried fruit and juices. So juices, they are concentrated, which in turn means a higher sugar content. It has no fiber. Even if you bought pulp in your juice or pulp free, there's no difference in fiber. And so it's said that about 8 ounces of orange juice, or a cup, is about 3 to 4 whole oranges. So imagine eating 3 to 4 oranges. You'd be really full, and that's because of that fiber. But with juice, you could drink a whole lot more at once because there's no fiber to keep you full, and it's just, very heavy in sugar, kind of like almost equivalent to what soda would do to your blood sugar. So just being mindful of that. But smoothies, you might ask, how are they with the fiber? And the fiber is intact. When you're blending up the strawberries, blueberries, bananas, whatever fruit, even if you added some spinach in there, it keeps the fiber intact, which is great. And smoothies make a nutritious, quick, and easy breakfast or snack. So now we're switching gears to nuts. And so World's Healthiest Foods defines nuts as fruits that have a hard outer shell that encloses a kernel. So the nut is that kernel. And nuts contain monounsaturated fats, which are heart protective, and they can help lower cholesterol when they are replacing saturated fats, which are found in butter, for example, or some animal products. Saturated fat is solid at room temperature, but monounsaturated fats, they're found in nuts, avocados, olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, but you will all learn more about monounsaturated fats and oils in a later webinar. But nuts also contain fiber, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Most nuts do contain manganese, magnesium, copper, and thiamine. And like I mentioned, they are great for your heart. They are cardioprotective. And this depiction here is just showing the fat content of tree nuts. The different tree nuts are at the bottom, and just showing you the total fats, the mono, the polyunsaturated, and the saturated. And so most nuts very low in saturated, and like I mentioned over here, they're high in mono unsaturated, but they also have some polyunsaturated in some of these. But peanuts, you won't see them listed right here because peanuts are legumes technically, and they grow from the ground, not trees. But you'll see sometimes peanuts are paired with other nuts because it has similar nutrient composition. And so the Predimed study, this is where these findings are coming from, and I wanted to go more into detail about that one. This study was conducted in Spain. There was about 7,447 participants who were at high risk for cardiovascular disease. And the study design was a parallel group, randomized, multi-center controlled 5-year feeding trial. So very well thought out and designed study, and it lasted 5 years. And the aim was to assess the effects of the Mediterranean diet and primary prevention of cardiovascular disease. And nuts and olive oils were supplemented with the Mediterranean diet. In this Predimed study, that reanalysis that we looked at with polyphenols, that was different because it was a reanalysis, but the focus was, supplementing the Mediterranean diet with nuts and olive oil. And that found results were that nut consumption has been associated with lower blood pressure, reduced inflammation, improved lipid profiles, so decreasing the LDL cholesterol, and decreasing insulin resistance. So the more nuts and olive oil, in turn means higher antioxidants, which decreases inflammation and decreases LDL cholesterol. So just showing that nuts have many benefits to our health. And in one study, participants who consumed greater than 3 servings of nuts per week had a 39% lower risk of all-cause mortality or death. And those who consumed on the higher end of nuts in that same study had a 55% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality and 40% lower risk of cancer mortality compared to those who never consumed nuts. So this is just, we're getting more and more studies that are showing nuts have so many health benefits and they're great for our heart. So also, here's another one. So consuming nuts at least 4 times a week resulted in a 37% reduction in risk of coronary heart disease. And each additional serving of nuts per week is associated with an average 8.3% reduced risk of coronary heart disease. So again, nuts are great for your heart and for your health. So make sure you get those servings in each day. And so the serving, we mentioned this on the very first slide, but a serving size of nuts is 1 ounce or 1/4 a cup. So these pictures all depict the same amount. This is 1/4 a cup if you want to put it in a measuring cup. Put it in a bowl, so if you just look at that, that's how much an ounce is, or 1/4 a cup. It's about a handful, and this was on a paper towel just in case, you were taking it to go, and that's what it looks like. And the serving size of nut butters is 2 tablespoons. So here's one and here's another. And this great depiction is just showing you specific amounts of a variety of nuts that are equivalent to 1 ounce servings. And not that you have to count your nuts, but this is just a great visual. And I love this chart. This is just showing, different types of nuts and their calorie content, their total fat, and their saturated fat. And so as you can see, nuts are higher in total fat, which in turn means higher calories. But the good thing is it's very low in saturated fat, which is great. We want more of those mono and polyunsaturated fats, which nuts contain. And because they're higher in fat, fat contains 9 calories per gram compared to carbohydrates and protein that contain 4 calories per gram. So because fat has a higher calorie content, that's why you'll see higher calories in this chart. But just overall, nuts are great. Like we've mentioned, different studies, and they are low in saturated fat, which is a great thing because we do want to reduce our saturated fat intake to help with our cholesterol. So a summary, why should we increase our fruits and nuts? So fruits contain many nutrients that benefit our overall health by reducing inflammation, blood pressure, cholesterol, risk of cancer and cardiovascular disease, and more. Nuts, they contain healthier fats, fiber, vitamins, minerals that protect our heart by reducing inflammation, cholesterol, and plaque buildup in our arteries. And just, thinking about breakfast, for example, how can we combine fruits and nuts? Having a piece of whole wheat toast that has that fiber and adding either apple or banana with some peanut butter. That combines your fruits and nuts. So some shopping tips when you're in the grocery store, what to look out for. So with fresh fruit, just a general tip is that when you buy in bulk, when you buy whole fruit and in-season fruit, it's usually cheaper. So for example, I was at Kroger the other day and they had a sale, 2 for $4, so 2 pineapples for $4 compared to pre-cut pineapple that was $5. So you could get, one whole pineapple for $2 compared if it's pre-cut for $5. So big difference. And you might ask about organic fruit. So organic versus conventional or non-organic, at the end of the day, there's no nutritional difference. They do have different farming practices, but no difference in nutrients. So organic tends to be more expensive. So whatever is great and whatever's best for you and your budget. And canned fruit, we want to try to purchase those in 100% juice if we buy canned. So trying to get 100% juice like these pear halves and not in the lighter heavy syrup because that adds more added sugar And we don't need that because fruit naturally, like I said, it's nature's candy. It has fructose in it, natural sugar. So we don't need to add any more with that syrup. In frozen fruit, you want to look for no added sugar on the food label, but also if you just look at the ingredients on the food label, it should just say mango, for example, for these mango chunks. Or if you bought frozen berries, it should just say strawberries, blueberries, or whichever. It shouldn't have anything added. And so moving on to nuts, you want to try to purchase the unsalted. This is Blue Diamond Whole Natural, but you can buy, the store brand. It's usually cheaper than these brand names, but this one has 0 milligrams of sodium, no sodium added, no salt. But then this one is lightly salted, has about 40 milligrams per serving. And then this one, salt and vinegar, it has about 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. So we want to try to purchase the unsalted or lightly salted. And nut butters, we want to just try to purchase those that have nuts and salt as the ingredients. And you want to see, unfortunately, this isn't the best picture, but it has oil on the top here. This is natural Smucker's, but it has oil on top, and you have to stir it up when you first purchase it and either put it in the fridge to harden it or even leaving it at room temperature. It won't be as liquidy as that first time you're stirring it. But the ingredients of all these products are listed at the bottom, and this natural one has peanuts and contains 1% or less of salt, and that's it. Compared to this natural Jif, which we have to be careful with the term natural labeled on products because there's no technical definition by the government, but the overall consensus is that it's less processed. And so this natural Jif, it has peanuts, sugar, palm oil, a little bit of salt, and molasses. And that palm oil is what keeps it held together so that you don't have to stir it. And palm oil, like coconut oil, they're both tropical oils and they contain more saturated fat. So this one contains a little bit more than Smucker's or the Jif Creamy. It's around the same. But just being aware that this has palm oil in it, so it's not, completely just peanuts or salt. And then Jif, the just original Jif, you can see it has more ingredients at the bottom. And this one contains fully hydrogenated vegetable oil. So when you see fully hydrogenated, that just is a fancy way of saying saturated fat because of the hydrogenation process. But if you had saw partially, that would be considered trans fats. And see right here, trans fats 0, but trans fats, hopefully January 2021, they should be off the shelf because trans fats have been found to not be beneficial for us at all. So they're trying to take them off of the shelf. But the fully hydrogenated is safe. So just comparing different nut butters, and the best is getting those that just contain peanuts and a little bit of salt and stirring it up. You want to see that oil on top. So some storage tips. There will be a handout that you have access to. And so for example, bananas, you store them on the counter when you get home from the store. Apricots, avocados, cantaloupe, honeydew, kiwi. I'm not going to list all of these, but these are great to, if you buy them and they're not ripe yet, to leave them on your counter, and when they get ripe, put them in the fridge because the fridge, it slows down the ripening process. And so, for example, if you bought avocados that were already ripe, already kind of soft, put them straight in the fridge if you're not going to use them right away. And then berries, cherries, citrus fruits, grapefruits, once you purchase these and you get back from the store, put them straight in the fridge. And so you'll have access to the handout. It has many different fruits and vegetables listed. And so moving on to some recipes. So there's these links at the bottom that you are welcome to click on to watch a short little video on how to make them. But this is just overnight oats. It's a great source of fiber, protein. It has, of course, the oats in it. I added some peanut butter and banana, so getting my fruits and nuts, but it's a quick, easy, grabbing it on the go in the morning, very filling and delicious breakfast. An oat pancake recipe. This is great. You can add, it's great source of fiber as well as, because I added the whole wheat flour that provides the fiber, and it's a great source of protein. It has egg, it has some milk in it, some Greek yogurt. And for fruit, you can either put it in there, like have blueberries or bananas inside. I just put them on the outside, but just trying to get some fruit in for breakfast. So that's for breakfast. Ooh, it skipped my lunch. And so for lunch and dinner, there's a mango salsa recipe that includes, as you can see, mangoes, so the fruit, but also some great vegetables. And it's quick, easy. You can add it on top of your fish or make a black bean taco, or even, add some chicken to that taco as well to add some more protein. This couscous salad, couscous is a wheat pasta, and in this recipe, it has some dried fruit, those dried cranberries, some orange zest, a little bit of lemon and orange juice, and it has some toasted almonds on top. And it's a great dish to have for lunch or dinner as a side dish. So for a snack, these seasoned nuts are delicious. They have a great flavor with very minimal salt, and they're pretty quick and easy to make. You just pop them in the oven, and it's a great snack on the go. And lastly, I created a video here, you see the link, just talking about the nutrients of an apple, how to pick a ripe one, the serving size, which is a 4-ounce small apple, with the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and just kind of walking you through that. And here are all my references, and you will have access to the links and handouts and videos, so please check those out. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching, and I hope you all take care. Thank you so much.